Hello, everyone. Welcome to ScreenGeeks Live for June 2020. This is Dave. We felt the need to really play the entire theme song that we chose originally because we chose it with purpose before we found ourselves in the world that we find ourselves in these days with George Floyd and everything going on, and we greatly appreciate Five Iron Frenzy. We chose them specifically not just because I published the podcast for or produced the podcast for Leonora Ortega Till, Too Punk to Be a Hippie, but the band has always been for equality and standing up to injustice. And I mean, for the crying out loud, their first album on their first song was a dissertation and an indictment about the entire idea of manifest destiny in the Old West. So that's who this band is. We're fully behind that message and just want everyone to know this is kind of where we are. I mean, obviously, not obviously these days. We felt the need to say something. So yes, absolutely, Black Lives Matter, and we need to be standing up for some folks and just need to know where we are. Yes, and I hope that we're actually hearing Barry right now. I just realized, why are we doing that? Oh my goodness, Barry, I'm going to feel absolutely horrible because there's a good chance that no one heard what you just said.
Oh,
Yep,
am
there
I
you are.
muted?
Oh, I had the wrong thing going, folks. We had some issues with the live stream. Don't worry, we are not going to be a super political episode, but we felt it important to address it. Barry, yes, you could just say the three words that mean the most right now.
Oh, well, Black Lives Matter, and I'll say it a second time. Black Lives Matter, and yeah, that was the point of my diatribe earlier.
Yeah, you mean the one where I accidentally just kind of killed it? Yeah, sorry about that. I think we're online now. We're not going to be talking about that all episode. It's going to kind of come into play with what we've been watching and what have you. But before we get into that, how are you doing and how's life on Maui, sir?
Things are good. I always feel very hesitant to complain about anything that goes on in my life because I do live on the island of Maui. But I grew up here. This is my home, and I'm proud to be among the men and women who live here. And we have had protests here, very peaceful, small protests, obviously, but nevertheless, everyone here is very empathetic to what is going on in the world. And yeah, things are good. My family is good. I'm just getting ready to teach a summer school class, and I'm getting my fall classes ready. So I'm keeping busy, honestly. Yeah, things are good. How about on your end?
We're doing good. We've had the protests. We've been doing a lot of listening. I said it earlier, and we're going to keep doing it. We're kind of figuring out how to address what's going on with Abby. I mean, she doesn't watch the news, so she knows what's going on, but it feels like there's definitely this is a sea change in society, and just kind of emphasizing with my daughter just how stinking amazing and how sweet and how kind she is. And I haven't said anything super publicly about it, but I kind of feel like the words like I'm colorblind need to exit the Caucasian vocabulary completely. So I've been kind of working with Abby, not Steph. My wife is absolutely wonderful too. But just kind of telling Abby, not only is it good to treat people and have friends no matter who they are, it's about the content of their character, but more importantly, it's standing up when those friends are being treated unfairly. And
Yes.
so that's kind of where we are. I mean, she's 6. She kind of gets it for the most part. There's only so much of a conversation you can have at that point. And the COVID thing, I mean, we're just kind of really kind of hunkering down for the most part, being really careful. And yeah, has COVID hit Maui very hard?
I mean, we've had some cases, so there's been that, and everyone around here is socially distancing, wearing masks. The one plus, if it is indeed a plus, is that my daughter Beatrice, who's 4, is like her father, kind of an odd child. She loves to dress up. She loves to pretend and be superheroes. So the thought of wearing a mask in public is so thrilling to her. So thankfully, it hasn't been too much of a terrible adjustment because really, I mean, she's already wearing capes and things whenever we go shopping. So the thought of wearing a cape and a mask as well as her facial mask, yeah. So she's enjoying how weird the world is right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So let's get into kind of what's been going on in life and everything. In the news, just breaking today, unfortunately, it's not movie related necessarily, but I've got to give a little, just kind of tip my hat and a bit of respect to the great Denny O'Neil, the comic writer, editor at DC Comics for so many years, passed away at the age of 81 today. The comic over my shoulder, I try to kind of keep the comic in the background a little bit relevant to what we're doing. That's actually the first issue that he ever wrote as a comic anything. So I'm very proud to have that in my collection. I really looked up to him. His work in the Hard Traveling Heroes Green Lantern run with Green Arrow is a phenomenal read. If you have a chance to read it, by all means do. It's fantastic. It's really sad to see him. Whoa, my internet connection is unstable. Well, that's a bummer. Okay. We're doing our best, folks. He's going to be missed. He had a profound impact on the industry. He was a titan in the comics field. I know he influenced a lot of things that happened in comics. So he will be missed. Beyond that, do you want to do the bad news or the good news first, or how do you want to tackle this thing, man?
I mean, I just came back from shopping, so I'm a little winded. I was out and about, and I'm looking at the world as is right now. I walked past one of my favorite movie theaters, a movie theater I used to be an usher at when I was a freshman in college. And all the poster standees are down. It's like a ghost town in there. So that's a little hard. And then I just got the news, as you did. I'm sure that a bunch of films have been pushed back yet again.
Yes.
Christopher Nolan's Tenet is now July 31st. I hope they make the date. I don't know. One which has been all over the calendar just got pushed back to October. It was supposed to open in August. And what else? There was a couple others. The Witches. Robert Zemeckis' adaptation of Roald Dahl's The Witches. I'm curious about that one, even though they did not need to remake that. The 1990 version with Angelica Houston, directed by Nicholas Roeg, was perfect. But nevertheless, that's been taken off the calendar indefinitely, so I don't know what that's about. But yeah, there's been a bunch of pushing backs. And Godzilla versus Kong, which I can't say I'm really looking forward to because the last Godzilla movie was god awful. That's been pushed back till 2021, and Matrix 4 is now opening in 2022. So needless to say, we're going to be waiting a little longer for these movies.
We are. Really, the bad news thing. Well, it's not bad news. It's bad and it's good. So we wanted to talk about the Cinestate thing that happened. It came to light this past week that massive amounts of sexual misconduct on sets related to their productions, and Adam Donahue apparently is let me see here, allegedly is a horrible human being. I really don't want to dwell on that. I think it's more interesting to see what's being done productive. And I really didn't want to get political, but you really can't not talk about the politics at the time. It seems like there's a lot of latitude for folks to act on their conscience. So as a result of that, every single podcast, I think, on the Fangoria network decided, yeah, we're done. Sorry, kids, including Adam Green and Joan Litch's The Movie Crypt, Rebecca McKendry's her horror podcast, which is absolutely phenomenal. And then Birth Movies, Death, and Fangoria in general, it turns out, have just essentially said, sorry, guys, we just can't work with you at all. And now Cinestate's looking for a new buyer for those outlets altogether. Folks are emboldened to make stands right now that I don't know if I would or not, because this is these folks' livelihoods, and they're like, you know what? It's more important for me to be able to sleep at night than for me to collect a paycheck right now, which is relevant heck out of. Did you have any input on that at all, or did I just kind of say it all?
Well, no, forgive me. There were a couple of times where you froze, so I was trying to get the gist of everything you were saying too. No, my quick response to all of that. I certainly respect anybody who feels the need. Their conscience is telling them to pull out, to not be involved, to distance themselves, to not be affiliated with something that's offensive to them. It's tough for me, man, because you and I love movies so much. This comes up all the time in my film classes. I'll show a Polanski film. They're like, "Why are we watching a movie by Roman Polanski?" And that's a hard conversation, but I'm always happy to have that. I have that conversation whenever I show a film by Woody Allen or by Mel Gibson. These are problematic people who have made brilliant films, and I have a problem with saying like I'm not going to boycott everything this person has made because this person is offensive. I'm not going to stop watching every movie in the Miramax library. I'm not going to stop watching every Kevin Spacey movie. I don't like Kevin Spacey. I find his actions deeply offensive, and as the same with Harvey Weinstein and a cluster of others. But I just don't feel like I can publish. Excuse me. I don't feel like I can punish the work of the hundreds, in some cases thousands of people who worked on those movies. Those end credits reveal the names of thousands of people, and I don't feel that I can punish. Step away and boycott the work of everyone involved because movies are not just one person. But when it comes to this specific thing you're talking about, I certainly do admire them for doing that because I know obviously that's not easy. The easy thing would be like, well, we're just going to wait to see how this transpires, or well, no. I mean, they're just saying like, no, forget it, we're done, and I do respect that.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before with Polanski. Like, I've kind of hit the eject button on him and quite a few other filmmakers and stars and actors. And, it's something we've been on two different sides of that coin, but, obviously we're still friends because we're still doing a podcast. Hey, how's it going? But I really admire what these folks did. It makes me want to support them even more because it's a really principled stand that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I appreciate what they're doing. So, happier news. We got a Bill and Ted 3 trailer. Is that happiness for you, having Bill and Ted 3 hit?
Oh, I could not be happier about Bill and Ted 3. This was one of these things where I'm like, are we going to get it this year? Everything has been pushed. This thing has been just stubbornly staying in its little slot. In August, I think it's going to open. So I'm hoping that they're going to open as scheduled, which would be wonderful because they really waited a long time to show us this trailer. But that was smart too, because I mean, we got hit hard with that Ghostbusters trailer. We're not going to see that movie until March, which for me, that's heartbreaking. I was really looking forward to that. But for the very similar reasons, I think Bill and Ted 3 looks wonderful. I think they nailed the tone of it. It's the same writers. It's Dean Parasot. And there's been a number of people who said like, well, the trailer doesn't look that funny or looks stupid. And my response is the Galaxy Quest trailer was not great. Galaxy Quest is a classic. I think it's one of the funniest movies of the 90s, but that trailer kept me from seeing it in the theater. I was one of those idiots who discovered Galaxy, loved it, and I said, oh my gosh, I should have seen this on the big screen, but I avoided because I thought the trailer looked so dumb. So anyway, that's my response to anybody who's like, well, Bill and Ted 3 was kind of stupid. Well, it's kind of the point.
It is.
I trust the filmmakers. I trust the actors. I trust the writers. So I'm, fingers crossed that it's a great movie.
Yeah, the part where they go into the future and they get roided out, Bill and Ted, I was like, oh, that's kind of hokey. And then I remember Bill and Ted bots, and I really like the second film, Bogus Journey. So I'm in. I'm looking forward to it. In the age of the COVIDs, I don't know that I'm setting foot in a theater for a very long time. Because I can't help but pull back curtains as of late. I personally am at an elevated risk due to underlying heart condition if I get COVID. So I have to be very careful what I go do and that kind of stuff. So if I go anywhere it's with masks, I don't know that I really want to sit in a theater for 2 hours around folks doing who knows what. I don't care what the social distancing measures are. However, I could see myself going to a drive-in. Check it out. Check out movies that way. I know it's not the ultimate, the preferred experience, but heck, it's a way to keep up on movies.
There have been a lot of great things that have been coming out. I've heard very mixed things about the new Judd Apatow film, The King of Staten Island. But as we speak, the new Spike Lee film, Defy Bloods, is up. I've heard nothing but stark rave reviews of this thing on Netflix. So it's nice. It's nice that we're not that movies aren't the only option. Although for me, in a sense, they are because I miss going to a theater so much. But it is nice that we don't have to run out to see everything. And these are obviously films that were supposed to get a theatrical release, and now they're probably going to get a wider audience than they would have had they played in theaters. Yeah,
very true. Very true. I mean, there's stuff like Artemis Fowl, which the reviews have not been kind, and apparently has nothing to do with the books. So I'm like, I'll probably just miss that one on Disney Plus. But that
one got pushed. I mean, I've been hearing about that thing forever. That thing has been pushed back a lot. And it's Kenneth Branagh too, and the cast is good. But that thing, I mean, I swear that even before all this happened, that stage just kept getting pushed, which is not a good sign. When they're like, let's keep pushing this thing back. So
yes, yeah. I'm trying to think, is there anything else we wanted to cover this week. I should be smart and have the text that I sent you earlier saying, "Hey, these are the things we should
Yeah, I
talk
should have
about."
pulled that up too.
No, it's everything went horribly wrong trying to get the stream ready. So it looks like we're dropping frames, and I do apologize, folks. It's just it's tonight is going against us. Really, that's kind of the main stuff for as far as news that we wanted to talk about. Really, what we're looking at doing when the theaters open. Are you going to go when the theaters open back up?
Yes, it's I clearly have a problem. It's almost like I can't wait for the crack house to open up. I'm just like, are you open yet? I'm
Yeah,
one of those
yeah,
guys.
I get you.
I honestly, I was doing that today. I was like, like I said, I went to one of my favorite theaters, the Queen Kamano Theater. I'm putting my face up to the glass and dun dun dun. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for movies to open. But you really posed a question, Dave. It's like, is any movie worth like putting yourself through this for? I mean, putting on a mask and occasionally lifting up your mask, eat some popcorn, have a soda for 2 hours. It's a lot to ask, especially for like the Christopher Nolan film, which is 3 hours easy.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna miss it. I'm gonna be honest. I'll probably miss it when it comes out. I mean, or I'll catch it when it hits on home video. I've got a 51-inch plasma and it's 5.1 surround. It'll do well enough, I think. At
You've
least in the
always
short
had a
term.
good man cave. I mean, that's the thing, man. Like I remember the first time I ever went to your house, your old house in the Springs, and you had your framed movie posters and your amazing, very vast collection of films and your big screen with the great sound. Yeah, you're doing fine, Dave.
Did we just lose Facebook? I think we may have missed list.
Oh, did we?
We might have missed Facebook. Hang on here. We might have lost it. I'm not sure. We'll find out here. Let me check real quick because if we did, we're on YouTube still, and we'll see what happens. I closed a tab to try to help. Oh no, we are live still. Okay, cool. Right on.
Okay.
We're live, so I'm not going to worry that much about it. So that's all that stuff. I guess we can talk about what we've been watching as of late, or do you want to talk about what we've been watching with our kids first?
Let's do the kitty table. Yeah, let's do the ScreenGeeks kitty table. Definitely.
Okay.
There's definitely stuff to discuss there.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So I mentioned, I think in the last episode that aired, that I was exposing Abby to Tron. She really enjoyed the first movie. We got to the part where they were getting where Flynn and Sam meet and they're having the existential discussions about whether he should go back or not and all that stuff, and Kiddo tapped out. I can't even say I blame her. Honestly, sure. It's all good. I'm not even mad at her. We've been watching a whole lot of like reality shows, but like the contests, not like no Big Brother, no Survivor, no Bachelor, right. But like the Titan games, and Ultimate Tag is one of the stupidest, most fun shows I've seen in a very long time. It's like tag crossed with American Gladiators.
Cool.
Where pretty much every male tagger is nozzle. Just not a big fan of them for the most part, but it is such a good time. It's fun. Yeah, and MasterChef Junior, stuff like that. We're trying to get her into more other stuff just so we aren't just on the My Little Pony kick all the time. We try to pick stuff that we can all watch together that we all want to watch. So sometimes we'll do some Justice League cartoons or some old Disney movies. Like we're starting to get into some of the live action stuff. She really enjoyed The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, which is not a Disney Plus thing. And she really enjoyed, what was it? Oh, the original Freaky Friday with Jodie Foster. Oh, she loved that movie.
That's great.
So yeah, what have you been watching with B?
B just got into Spider-Man, and it was a complete accident. I've got this big coffee table about Marvel. It came out in 1992, this big book that a friend of mine gave me years ago. It's a history of all the Marvel characters. There's even a chapter in it about how they've never been able to make a good Marvel movie, which is hilarious. And they've got pictures of the Dolph Lundgren Punisher and Howard the Duck to prove their point that there are no good Marvel movies, which I think is hilarious. But this book, like Spider-Man's on the cover, and there's all these chapters on Spider-Man. So Beatrice, unbeknownst to me, sits on the couch and she's just reading it like it's a pop-up book, and she is just obsessed with Spider-Man. So I showed her some of the the 60s Spider-Man cartoons. Spider-Man, not gonna wait on the Sam Raimi Spider-Man for a little while.
No kidding.
But she's currently addicted to Spider-Man, which is interesting. And then Disney movies have been interesting because on the one hand, I love that she's into the classical, old school, hand-drawn animated Disney movies, but they're problematic. We put on Peter Pan the other day. That's a very problematic movie because Peter Pan is wonderful, and they go to Never Never Land, and then there's the gross Disney version of Native Americans, which is like it's pretty awful, and it's about a 7-8 minute long sequence. So there's that. And thankfully, B didn't really seem all that interested in that sequence anyway, which is great. But at the same time, it's like, okay, next time we watch this, I might have to say something because is this is kind of gross. And she's a little, on the one hand, it's a little young to have that kind of conversation about context and whatnot and historical context. But at the same time, it's I forgot how much I found it offensive. This is unreasonably offensive. But yeah, beyond that, it's a lot of the stuff we've talked about. B is still addicted to Charlie Brown movies. She loves My Little Pony. Yeah, lots of children's films in this house.
So it's worth with Abby. After she saw Peter Pan a few times, as she started reading, she really started digging into books from her school library about Native American tribes and really wanted to start learning about them. And I'm like, I am not going to say no to this. Go, kiddo. Right. You do your thing. As far as the Spider-Man thing, it might be worth giving the Marvel, Marvel Rising movies a spin. It's a more current stuff. It's more girl based, so it's not quite DC superhero girls like Lauren Faust, My Little Pony craziness, which is also fun and a blast. But it involves Spider Gwen, so that might, I don't know if B has gone into full on girl power, if it's not girl it sucks kind of thing like Abby has, but she'll get there. I have that feeling. You were saying something else. Oh, have you heard the rumors about Splash Mountain or the petition that's going around?
Yes, Julia just told me that today. It'd be interesting if that happens. Yeah, and I suspect you've heard the same thing I did, which is that they want to change it to what do they want to change it to?
Disney doesn't want to necessarily change it to anything, but the suggestion was made to change it to being themed around Princess and the Frog.
That's it, right?
Because it makes sense. Because hey, that's a movie Disney put out and actually has characters walking around and isn't trying to hide its history of. Splash Mountain's a fantastic ride. But holy cow, you can't divorce it. You can't walk by it without thinking, so when are we getting Song of the South? Because if you're making money off Song of the South, you should be willing to own it. And I say it's tough because Tony Baxter, was critically behind it, and the man did some amazing stuff. But the reality is, it was just trying to make use of the characters from America Sings. That's how the thing came about. So a retheming wouldn't be the end of the world, I don't think. I think it would be a good idea. I'm wholeheartedly behind that idea.
It's interesting too, and honestly, I have some qualms with The Princess and the Frog. They made
dark.
A big deal. Well, what it is dark. It's a strange movie. When it came out, they made a big deal about it having the first African American princess who is black and human in the film for about 6 minutes, and the rest of the movie she's a frog. She's a frog. So it's like, I don't know. Like I know Disney really loves to do this, but I don't think it was really, they've got this movie Soul, Pixar's Soul coming out. That sounds like something that has some integrity to it. A movie that's actually about African Americans for African Americans, which I think is really interesting because Disney really hasn't made that movie. If anything, over the last couple of weeks, watching, Toy Story 2 and movies like Frozen 2 over and over again, I'm really struck by this is really white.
Yeah.
Really, really, really white. The characters are really white. All the side characters have really white, nasally voices. So I'm interested in a Disney film that's is reflects the black perspective, which is something we've never, almost never had in a Disney film. Because Princess and the Frog, I enjoyed the movie, I enjoyed the music, I really liked it when I saw it, but I remember walking out of that thing thinking if that's progress, that's a teeny tiny little step.
It's kind of like the scene at the end of Rise of Skywalker. Like that kiss, it's like the most passing of they may as well not have even done it.
Eagle eyes, you really got to be really looking very closely to see that. The same thing with the quote unquote gay moment in Beauty and the Beast that Disney patted themselves over the back over. It was so dumb. And they were making such a big deal. LeFou is this she's going to be this great breakthrough character. And I'm thinking the most annoying, despicable character in the whole movie. You want to have that be your Trojan horse gay character? No, guys. Like, if anything, maybe like make Belle's father. If Belle's father had been gay, I think that would have been bold and interesting. I think that could have worked actually. But making LaFoe gay, it's like, okay, like, take this character who is already so irritating and pretty useless and give him this one scene at the end of the movie where he's dancing with the dude for like half a second. I mean, it's played for a joke anyway. Anyway, I'm not impressed.
No, it's like, do you really want to call that a win? Really?
Right. Yeah, because they sure treated it that way. No.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. Let's see. So I guess we can just move into kind of what we've been watching as grown-ups. I finally got around to watching Ford v Ferrari. And
what'd you think of that one?
James Mangold knows how to make a movie. Holy cow. Like, I know it's sidestepped a whole lot of history, but dang, is that a compelling story.
Yeah.
The performances are fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the heck out of it. It's like, I tried to use it as, like, Steph and I watched it and she really enjoyed it. I tried to make it a gateway for her to be willing to watch Logan, and it didn't work because she knows how dark that movie is. And she's just like, no. So it is what it is. I'm trying to think, like, super recently, actually today, I did watch Da 5 Bloods by Spike Lee, and it is a phenomenal film. It's absolutely Spike Lee being Spike Lee, like saying Spike Lee things, as he well should. I would probably respect him less if he didn't do what he did. But there's some very interesting choices that made me really respect the film even more. Specifically having all these older actors still play themselves as being back in Vietnam. So you've got Chadwick Boseman as, being frozen in time in a certain point. I'm not going to get into spoilers why he's younger in the flashbacks, but all these other characters are still these old men. And it felt like a subtle artistic choice to be like, war, it doesn't matter if you leave war, you've never actually left it. And so it's like they're reliving it in that moment as they're remembering what happened back in Vietnam. It does not pull punches at all whatsoever. Again, I kind of wouldn't respect Spike Lee if he did. It really humanizes these characters in very interesting ways. Delroy Lindo is phenomenal as a character who's set up to kind of be a joke at the beginning and be a source of derision and mockery. And that man goes through hell in that movie. And it is a spectacular performance. It's incredibly moving. There's a scene where he has this monologue that's just phenomenal is the only way I can put it. I mean, it's kind of like the Charlie Chaplin monologue at the end of The Great Dictator, where it kind of takes you out of the movie, but it's just so good and it's just so powerful. I don't care. I'm letting it slide. It's totally fine by me. But it's the really kind of messed up thing is I was thinking as I'm watching this movie, this could have been an Oscar contender. Like if they pushed it out like end of last year, but we would have been living in an entirely different world 6 months ago. So this really different relevance than it would have had otherwise. And I'm still go back and forth whether that's a good or a bad thing. Like it's not saying anything new. It's like, we talked about Five Iron Friends at the beginning. They've been who they are since the beginning. Like they've been doing songs towards social justice and inequality and racism for 25 years. Spike Lee's been making movies for how long now? 3-4 decades?
1986. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is who he's been. He's been saying the same thing. And I think what we're finding now is like people are finally starting to listen. So it's pretty phenomenal. I also watched Dave Chappelle's 846.
How was that?
That is a raw watch. It's not particularly funny. There are some comedic moments in there with jokes and stuff, but it's really just very raw. Him talking about why does anyone care what I have to say? Like, if you hear what I have to say, you're taking away from what the people in the streets are doing and what they're saying and actually affecting change. But still also brings his own unique perspective to it. And he's just so raw and unfiltered and I don't know. He's always kind of been raw and unfiltered. So take that for what you will. I thought it was fantastic. It does not pull any punches. It tackles black subjects. It's like, I don't have any place to say anything or have an opinion on any of this. So I'm just, again, going to stop and listen.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah,
I love it. This great stuff has been popping up on Netflix. Like I said a week ago, that wonderful film on Amazon Prime, The Vast of Night. There are choices. aside from Tiger King and some of the like someone was telling me like, have you seen the Chris Hemsworth movie Extraction? Oh, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. No.
Good.
Like these movies, I wouldn't even want to see them in the theater. Why am I going to watch them on Netflix? So I love that, we've got these like, we got these cinematic caviar being given out to us, and I hope people will take the time to watch them.
Yeah, I really like what Netflix has done with kind of like, here's all of our African American content. Like, you don't want to be like BET or something, but it absolutely, it's a necessary thing for, like, again, if you want to listen, Killer Mike's trigger warning is really interesting. Watch around the kids at all whatsoever. The first episode is him trying to live black, which means, every dime he spends, he wants to keep in his community. And he tries to do it for 3 days, and it's really tough. The second episode is he's trying to get just anyone and everyone. It's kind of a little fatalistic in that, he sits down with a bunch of first graders. What do you want to do? I want to be president. I want to be a scientist. I want to be a rocket person. And he's just, none of that's going to happen. And brings in a handyman to teach these kids practical tools, and is like, can we teach adults this? And they tried to show some adults this stuff, and it wasn't really connecting. And he's like, so it needs to be more entertaining. Well, what do you do at home? Well, I sit on the internet. And his takeaway was, sitting on the internet means that that you're probably watching adult content. We'll put it that way. So he proceeds to make adult content with how to become a handy person. It's very odd, but it's really interesting. So if you're willing to take the laugh a little bit, like he does it with a wink and a smile, I'll still try and be earnest and take it seriously. It's an interesting watch. Like, the man doesn't pull punches either. So yeah, I've just been kind of like, just taking all this content in as of late. So yeah, it's kind of, and we're watching Leverage still, because it's just, sometimes you need the comfort food. You really do some nights.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you been watching, sir?
We just finished the season. We went through the first 2 seasons, and they just finished their season of What We Do in the Shadows, and I absolutely love that show.
I've heard that's great.
Season finale is hysterical and funny, and it has one of the funniest, like the final line of the final episode still has me laughing. It's great. The writing was great. That movie was so fantastic, and I think the show is actually better than the film. It's brilliant.
So if I haven't seen the movie, should I just start with season 1 and just roll with it and don't even worry about the movie?
I would watch the film because it's so freaking funny,
okay.
And I think it's right up your alley. I think you would love it. So I would watch the film. I think if anything, it makes you appreciate the series more, because it's not one of these things where they can't go to that level. They actually surpass what the film does, which didn't seem possible, but it is. Yeah, so I would start with the film, because the movie is so funny. You don't want to miss it's one of the funniest fake documentaries I've ever seen. It's great.
Very cool.
So that, and then the last couple of days, I've been knee deep in comic book movies. I watched because it's 20 years old now. Another problematic filmmaker, Bryan Singer's 2000 X-Men. 20 years old, Dave. 20 years old since the very first trip to Dr. Xavier's School of Exceptional Children. And then last night I watched Batman Forever, which is now 25 years old.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And better than anything Zack Snyder did. Oh, we didn't talk about that. Do we want to talk about it?
The Snyder Cut? The mythical Snyder Cut that's going to make this stinker of a movie somehow so much better?
Sure, because the man hasn't had 3 movies worth of time to prove that he doesn't understand who Superman is in any way, shape, or form. I think I'm done there. Okay.
I'm not a fan either. I agree with you. I don't think he gets Superman, or at least his version of Superman is not something I find interesting. It's not even that it's good or bad. It's just I don't think Henry Cavill is a compelling actor, or at least not compelling enough in that character. I don't know, like Superman to me, like in his hands, he seems like those mean lifeguards who sits poolside and blows his whistle at you and tells you to get out of the pool. Like that's who this guy is to me. I don't like this guy. I don't want this guy to save me or get a cat out of my tree. And yes, obviously I still love Christopher Reeve. I miss Christopher Reeve. But for me, this guy is not a good substitute. I thought Brandon Routh was a good substitute and a better alternative to Henry Cavill. But yeah, I can't stand most of Zack Snyder's movies. I think Sucker Punch is one of the greatest wastes of time of the last 20 years. Yeah, I can't stand his freaking movies, and I can't believe that everyone's like, this is going to be such an amazing movie. So I thought, wow, what a way to throw.
No, not everyone is saying that.
Throwing Joss Whedon under the bus, because like Whedon was like the guy who got in there to fix this thing, and it still was one of the worst films that's Whedon's fault. And I think once the Snyder cut is put together, I think it's only going to illustrate that it's the movie we already got, except even more bloated.
Yeah, yeah, and even darker and even sadder. And this is the guy who killed Jimmy Olsen because he thought it would be fun.
It'd be fun to kill Jimmy Olsen. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna off him by shooting him in the head 5 minutes in. Yeah, that's a blast. Oh, that was a bad pun.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm ashamed of myself. Sorry.
It's okay. Sorry.
Maybe we should. I don't know. Do you want to kind of revisit Dark Phoenix just to see if what we thought is still what we think?
I've seen it twice. I like Dark Phoenix, man. And I got to say, and not to bring him into this because
we're in the minority. We admit this up front. We're in the minority.
Yeah, and I don't mean to like bring this up because I want to like have immunity from having a discussion about Dark Phoenix, but like Walter Chow digs that movie too, and I felt really good about that because I thought, okay, like he gets it, cool. I don't care. Like absolute favorite movie critics alive right now still gets that movie. But yeah, I dig that film. It's flawed. It has problems. But I think on a scene-to-scene basis, I think it's very compelling. It deconstructs the X-Men mythology. It basically tells us that Dr. Xavier is not the greatest.
He's a jackwagon.
His little school. Yeah, his little school is very problematic, and he's a total, he loves the attention. There's so many things about him that are very problematic. This idea, like, can we let people be who they are? Are we going to stand in front of them, protecting them to their detriment? The relationship that Xavier has with Jean Grey, I think, is really fascinating. The way they explored. I like that film. I really do. I think X-Men: The Last Stand, and I think Apocalypse, and obviously Origins, Wolverine. I think those are the low points. I really think Dark Phoenix is one of my favorite X-Men movies. It is.
Okay, well, we'll save it. Well, we might tackle it at some point down the road. We have other movies. Yeah, no. I just like I'm bouncing stuff off you out of nowhere. So we don't have any comments. It's okay. We're having fun. We're talking. We're dropping stuff. I'm sure this is kind of a dumpster fire of a stream, but we're doing our best, and it's all good.
It's all right.
Yeah, we're doing our best here. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else you want to bring up that you've been watching?
I think that's it. I mean, gosh, I finished season 1 of Barry, which I thought was fantastic. That was irritating for about a year. I get texts, "Hey man, do you know there's a series called Barry about a guy who kills people and his name is Barry?" So, and I was like, no, I haven't seen it. I don't have HBO, and I'm not going to watch a show called Barry because screw you guys. But then my library had a copy of it. Like, well, I can't. I can only escape this for so long.
Yeah.
So Jules and I watched it, and we completely binged it. We got completely hooked. Bill Hader is wonderful. The show is fantastic. Henry Winkler is incredible. It's one of the smartest comedies I've seen in a long time. Highly unpredictable, which always means the world to me when I don't, whenever you can't be one step ahead of the story, as you know as well. We've seen so many movies, so it's easy to get ahead of these things. But that show took a lot of risks. I really admired it and loved it. So it's I kind of hate that I love Barry as much as I do, but I do. It's a great show.
Okay, fair enough. I'm trying to think anything else I have caught as of late. Been watching through Letterkenny again. It's such a wrong show, but it's so darn funny. Do not watch it if you're going to be if you can be offended easily at all. Just don't. But dang, is it funny. All right, so let's see. What else do we have on the notes to talk through? We're not going to worry about that stuff at all. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Like I kind of threw some ideas at you, and I didn't really give you much opportunity to come back with anything.
No. This is good stuff. I mean, obviously, we'll see how this show ends up. I keep getting the notification on my screen. The internet is unstable, and I just think, well, the hosts are unstable too. So it's very fitting.
We're only so good, yeah.
But yeah,
I do want to give a quick shout out actually to we have a patron saint of this podcast.
Yes.
Give some and wonderful Mr. Ron Moon. Thanks to his generosity, we're going to have some upgrades happening with the show in the next week or two. I'll wait for everything to come together before it happens. I've got another part or two coming in to improve my video quality, which might do it too well, which means I might have to buy lights and all other kinds of other crap, but we'll see. But thank you, Ron. You are incredibly kind and generous. We're still figuring out what we're going to do with like a Patreon type thing if we want to do one. Well, no, we want to do one. But I think we take it very seriously, the idea of ever like accepting money or asking for money from anyone. So we're trying to figure out what we would do in terms of perks. This is kind of spitballing right now. Like we're live talking. We haven't talked about this a whole heck of a lot, but like I'm kind of like, if you give us like $1 an episode, you're never gonna see an ad ever, ever, ever. And we'll release the episodes a couple days early. But beyond that, I'm really kind of curious to see what other stuff you might want. Do you want like live Q&As just for patrons, or mailbags, or live plays of games and us sucking at video games, or, ask Professor Barry anything, and stuff like that. So let us know, just podcast@screengeeks.com. I'm kind of uncomfortable with the idea of doing it, but at the same time, it's like, we're in our 40s and we're enjoying doing it, but we also have to kind of need to make it worth our time to carve the time out of our schedules.
I think it's about time we do Patreon. I mean, we did this for 6 years and we had a lot of fun, but you're putting so much time into it. And I certainly, I think we're one of the few sites that does this, that never had Patreon. So if anything, I feel like we're the last ones to this party, which I think is great.
Well, to be fair, there was nothing like this when we left, and it's been around for like 5 years before we came back. So let's, a little fair play there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I think it's part of how it kind of works now, and obviously we'd love to have a sustainable model. So yeah, so if and I agree with you. I think we should definitely be fielding our watchers as to what they want from us. But I mean, I would love to, with the that you and I can do, I would love to do like an episode talking about all the Trek films. Do like your favorite season of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Talking about the recent, I mean, we've spoken about this, doing an episode about like the recent trilogy of the young Trek films that came out.
Yes.
I think we
definitely need to cover like John Wick at some point.
Yeah, doing the John Wick trilogy, definitely. Yes.
I want to do like at least an episode about I'm going to butcher his name, but Iko Uwais, the Asian action star, did the Raid movies, Headshot.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, not Mile 23, because God, that movie was awful. And I love Peter Berg, but oh my goodness, that movie was bad. But just like,
and that's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like the man he hasn't gotten a fair shake in American cinema. I really hope they loop him into an American action film at some point that does well, like John Wick or something like that. Like Triple Threat was it him, Tiger Chen, Tony Jaa, like that thing was a blast to watch. So I'd love to kind of get into some. Really, the reason I kind of have been talking about wanting to go the Patreon route is so that we don't have to worry at all about ever getting the views or the subscribers or any of that crap in order to monetize on YouTube or Twitch or whatever else. If it happens, okay, but I'm really not that concerned with it. I'd rather make stuff for people who are invested. So yeah. Oh, Ron's in. Okay. Oh, he's tardy to the party, but he's here. Okay. And he's all for John Wick. I think we're going to do another movie that came up on his Facebook feed.
Okay.
I don't know that we want to talk about what it is yet, but what you going to do, brother, when Zeus comes rolling over you?
Oh, heck yeah. I'm all about that.
Yes. I gotta give some love there. Yes.
Let me see if this turns up. So I just found this the other day.
Oh no!
I'll tell you, and this is directly correlated. Hopefully this will be very amusing for all of you at home. So I have a stack of movie posters I'm going to frame. And one of these, I'm not going to frame them because Julia will not allow me to frame this. But I have, let's see. So it's a double-sided No Holds Barred poster. On one side, it's Hulk Hogan as Rip. Let's see. Do they have it? Yeah.
So, oh yeah. We saw it. Yeah.
One side is Rip, and the other side.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, I love this. I bought this at Starfest for $1, and I've been holding on to it ever since. I showed it to Julie. I'm like, can I please frame this? And I'll let you decide which side I could frame. And she just looked at me like I'm completely insane, and she's never met me before. And you know what? We've been married for 16 years. That's the first time I ever asked her to frame a wrestling poster. So she's completely entitled to her just her maddening frustration with me at that moment. So anyway, I have that poster, and it's just going to sit on my desk because Julie will not allow me to frame.
We need to get you an office where you can decorate it however you want.
I know, right? Yeah. Right now my office, it's the part of the living room that's a little further off, and there's a couch facing away from me, so it gives me the illusion that I've got like this room to myself. But really, Beatrice runs in here and just like puts her hands all over my face, and there's no, I can't protect. This 4-year-old has truly superpowers. She's able to penetrate any kind of blockade I put in front. So there's no stopping her.
Nice. There's one. Okay, I was just checking the comments real quick. You hurt Ron's brain with the poster, and so yeah, we're not gonna do it for next week, because next week we are tackling the trilogy to end the trilogies and whatever, the Star Wars movies that came out while we were gone. We're going to be talking about those next week. Yeah. And I think maybe after that we should do No Holds Barred. Maybe.
I'm all for it, buddy. I love that movie the way I love Howard the Duck. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I've seen it more times than I care to admit publicly. I've seen it, and I'm a film teacher, folks. I teach at the college level. I've seen No Holds Barred more than Citizen Kane, more than any Orson Welles film. I love that film. It's not great, but man alive, I can't seem to get enough of it.
So you're following the junk food cinema mantra, which is it's not a good movie, but it's a great movie.
Oh, yes.
I haven't seen it, so...
That's hard, buddy, because it's one of these movies you're gonna have to grow up with. And I don't say that because I don't think you're not gonna appreciate it. But it's not great. Maybe you've had this thing too. Like I wonder, like there's movies like, for example, Masters of the Universe, the motion picture. I grew up with that film, so I'm very forgiving with all the stuff in it that's clearly inept and dumb. And I don't think if I'd seen that movie now for the first time, I would love it. Yeah. Do you find that? Do you find these movies you catch up with later on and you go like, man, I wish I'd grew up with this. I'd probably be a little more forgiving with it.
E.T.?
Ooh, not a fan of E.T., huh?
I didn't see it till I was in high school, and I was like, wow, this is a stupid movie. And I think a lot of it has to do with when you see the movie. I mean, here's the thing. That's not a movie that's geared towards a high school kid. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. I'm betting at some point I'll probably watch it with Abby, and I'm sure she'll love it. And as I've been showing Abby different things, I'm kind of doing my best to watch it through her eyes. So when she just really gloms onto something and really just like takes hold of it, I try to do it with her and just kind of put myself there. And so there's hope that I might actually enjoy it at some point.
I appreciate your optimism.
A man can dream.
You're trying.
I am indeed. Yes. So, we are coming up on just about an hour. Granted, we started a little late, so I'll keep stalling a little bit to see if anyone wants to say anything or ask anything. No worries if you don't. There's that. Yeah, nothing there at all, except Ron also loves Howard the Duck, which I greatly appreciate. Let's see. So that we can talk about that. We got lots of stuff to talk about, man. We got people we need to approach to talk to.
May I throw something out?
Yes.
Here's I wanted to ask you this, Dave. Okay.
Yeah. No. Go, by all means, do.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I had a little bit of a delay there.
We are, yeah.
I wanted to ask you if you ever had this experience, which I just had recently, a movie that I hated as a kid. I found it so boring and uninteresting, but I actually like it now, and it's a weird one. Krull from 1983.
I never saw it.
You might dig it now, because as a kid, I just thought this isn't Star Wars, and it wants to be Star Wars so badly. Looking at it now, it's kind of fascinating because it's a knights in shining armor King Arthur movie with sci-fi blended into it. So it's not like cowboys and aliens. I mean, it's like this. It's bizarre. You've got like sword fights, but they're also using ray guns. Like it's weird. It's really, wow. But it had a huge budget. And it's the first movie Liam Neeson ever did, and it's got great monsters in it. Anyway, like as a kid, I never thought it ever sit through. But looking at it now, I find it kind of charming now. I'm kind of obsessed with that movie actually.
Okay. I'm all for it because I'm all for doing stuff that's not just super highbrow stuff. Like we kind of got heavy right out the gate, so I'm all for doing some lighter fare and defending movies that we love.
This is the podcast that once did a director's commentary on Leonard Part 6. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
We know who we are.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad already, but now he's just, yeah, we can't even talk about that guy anymore. Those days are
Yeah,
long
isn't
since
that
gone.
weird? Yeah, it's like we thought Leonard Part 6 was really the worst thing that Bill Cosby had ever done. Boy, were we wrong.
Okay, so that just happened. All right. I don't even know what to. Okay. Oh no, I've been shouted out for not seeing ET till high school. Yep, yep. Here's the thing: no matter how many movies you see, the list of shame never gets smaller; it just gets
Oh,
bigger.
of course, of course. So
So,
we've gone over that before in this show, like the movies that But the thing is, there's just so many films. There's movies you have to, like I'll throw out one. You mentioned E.T. To Kill a Mockingbird. I didn't see that movie till maybe 10 years ago. I
mhm.
didn't see that movie till I was in my 30s. I did not grow up with that movie. I grew up with the book. I read the book when I was in high school. I was really moved by it. I never felt the need to watch the film, and I saw the film and I liked it, but it didn't capture me the way the book did. So it's weird. People are like, oh my God, To Kill a Mockingbird. Don't you love that movie? And I'm like, yeah, but if you read the book is good.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, we've got lots of things to come up with, and we have people we're still reaching out to. So we're gonna have guests going forward. If we can get the streams to work, I will. We'll see. Yeah, this one hasn't gone super well. I don't know how much if it's on my end or whatever. So if things are choppy, sorry, folks. But I think yeah, we're coming up on 9 o'clock Mountain Time. I think we've done quite well for the day. So yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up. If you want to reach out to us, by all means do. You can hit us up at podcast Barry or Dave, all at screengeeks.com. I know somewhere we have a phone number, and I don't have that anywhere in here. Yeah. Oh well. We'll get the we'll get the voicemail number down at some point. This is definitely a winging it kind of night. It's been a bit of a tumultuous week personally, so I'm glad we're doing something in general to kind of do something lighter to end the week on. So,
Yes,
Barry,
absolutely.
where can people find you on the interwebs this week?
Let's see. Rotten Tomatoes is always a pretty good thing. I've got a review up, my column for Maui Time Weekly called Barry Streaming Cinema, and I wrote about a real winner of a movie starring Andrew Garfield called Under the Silver Lake. It's nuts. And my movie review of it is up on MauiTime.com, or if you just go to Rotten Tomatoes.
Is that an
And
A24 flick?
what's that? Yeah, it's an A24 film.
Okay, I
Exactly.
think I've seen it show up somewhere. I forget where. So, okay, I've been like, that looks interesting.
It's bizarre in a way that is truly, even for me, I was kind of astonished at just how crazy it is. It feels like it could be a triple feature with like Inherent Vice and Big Lebowski. It's a crazy film, but it's fascinating. And you'll know within 20 minutes if you're going to go for the full ride or if you're just going to go, no, I'm done. But
It's
yeah,
kind of like watching the FP. You're gonna know pretty
I,
quick if you're in or not.
it's one of these movies I don't, what's that?
It's kind of like if you watch the FP movies, like you're gonna know within about 5 minutes if you're in or not.
Exactly right. Like on the one hand, I kind of suspect there's going to be a lot of people who don't like it, but it just I like the film so much that I feel compelled to recommend it, in spite of the fact that there's going to be a lot of people probably never reading my reviews again. But that's what it is being a film critic. But yeah. So yes, I think that's there's that, and I have an article up on Hollywood and Toto on the film Strange Days, which came out in 1995, Catherine Bigelow's sci-fi masterpiece with Ray Fiennes. I find a lot in that movie, particularly its depiction of police brutality and racial violence and civil unrest. It came out in 1995. It feels like it was made about 5 minutes ago. It's a
Okay.
brilliant film. Yeah, so my article on that is up on Hollywood and Toto.
Fantastic. And I finally found the notes where I have all the information. If you want to catch old episodes, catch us at screengeeks.com, youtube.screengeeks.com for old video episodes that aren't as choppy as this has been. But again, we're having fun, though. As always, our theme music is provided by Five Iron Frenzy. Many thanks to them. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, you can give us a call at 970-315-2048. And we'll play your voicemail if you want to reach out to us. And I think it's been fun. We'll do another one in July. I'm probably thinking right now, like around July 10th. I don't want to put it way too far out, but it's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think we're pretty well good. So until next week, this is Dave.
This is Barry.
Take it easy. And that's where we would usually play the outro music, but for some reason my thing isn't working. So, that was a great idea, but it just kind of failed miserably. Fantastic.
It's okay. There are times where like it would be like a 2 seconds, it'd be like